So welcome everyone. Thank you for joining my carb cycling webinar. My name is Leah Brancu and I am a exercise and fitness specialist. And my mission and my passion is to help women live and lead a healthy lifestyle by making themselves a priority. One of the biggest things that I know as women, we tend to put everybody else's needs and wants first before our own. And that in turn puts us on the back burner, and our health is probably one of the first things to go. You know, we feel like it's just, we can pick it up whenever, and it's not that simple. So my mission is to help people make themselves a priority, but also to incorporate it into a healthy lifestyle, something that you can implement every single day. So today I wanted to talk about carb cycling and just give you a little bit more of an insight without going too scientific, but explaining the reason why carb cycling is such a great strategic plan that you can implement to break through the plateau and to actually see some weight loss, some fat loss results. I can tell you personally, I've been exercising and trying different programs for many, many months, many, many years. And I go through cycles where I do something for a while and it works really well, and then I end up gaining the weight back. And exercising is not my problem, it's nutrition. And once I started studying more about myself and the manipulation of carbs, it really has been very eye-opening to be able to implement this without feeling deprived and being able to enjoy the foods that I love, which I feel like I don't normally get to do, and still being able to see results and have that freedom. So basically, carb cycling is just a manipulation of your carb consumption to your benefit. So everyone has different strategic plans that they use, but it's just having some low carb days and some high carb days. I know that sounds super simple. It's not as easy as that because you need to have a strategic plan to make sure that you don't gain more weight than you want to, and you don't put yourself into a position where you would maybe lose more weight than you need to. So something that I tell all of my clients, all of my ladies, is that fad diets are bad diets. Like if there is ever a fad diet that is out there, do not follow it. It is not going to do you any benefit. You will initially lose weight if you're cutting out or deleting something from your eating plan. However, initially what happens is you lose weight initially, and then either once you stop that diet or that plan, you actually either gain the weight back immediately or even during the process. Like once your body has acclimated to what you're doing, you start to gain weight while you're on the diet, or as soon as you're done, you gain the weight back and then some. So you end up ballooning because you've deprived your body of certain nutrients, certain things, and you just don't want to start cutting foods out. Carbs is one of our main macronutrients. There's carbs, there's proteins, and there's fat. And there's a reason why carbs is up there. So we can't cut carbs out of our life in order to see a fat loss result, because what's going to end up happening is you're just going to do really big time damage to your body, and you probably will be somewhere stuck like I was and not be able to lose any weight and start holding on to it. So, you know, carbs are given such a bad rap. Every time I talk to a new client, when we start talking about a nutritional plan, the first thing they say is, oh, I need to cut my carbs. And not necessarily. Maybe we do, maybe we don't. It just kind of depends on your eating style, what you're doing, what you're not doing. But carbs are necessary. They're necessary, and they're used as energy to fuel your workouts. They're used as energy to fuel your body for an everyday use. They're used for everyday functioning. So carbs are essential in your daily diet. And I'm going to use the word diet. I hate the word because it's given such a negative connotation, because everyone thinks like a fad diet. But having a specific nutritional plan is technically a diet, or following an eating plan is a diet. So I will be using the word diet. Just don't get confused. So the reason why carbs are, what carbs do is they actually cause a spike or an increase in your blood glucose or your blood sugar, your glucose. And this is stored inside your body as your number one source of fuel. So This is why you see runners carb loading, you see weightlifters eating lots of carbs. They need it in turn to be able to have an effective workout and to fuel their body so they don't plateau, and that they don't minimize their muscle usage. You know, if you're doing all this work, you want to be able to use your muscles. You want your muscles to grow. And if you're depleting your body of carbs for long periods of time, you're not going to get the benefits. So they're stored inside our body as our number one source of fuel. And can anyone guess where we get it from? We get it from food. You know, there are tons of things that are carbs. If most people don't even realize it, but vegetables are a carb. The only thing about the difference in vegetables is that they have a higher fiber source. So it starts to balance out, you know, the carbs and what's coming into your body. And it's used to help you get those phytonutrients, those nutrients to your body that are necessary for everyday function. So those are your micronutrients. You need macronutrients and you need micronutrients, which are like your vitamins and minerals, in order to sustain your body every single day. So when you have a carb cycling program, you have a mix of carbs that are high, maybe doubled what you eat on a normal basis, and then you have carbs that are low. And I know I just mentioned like not following a fad diet, but we're not doing a long-term phase of low carbs. We are actually focusing on a short period of depleting your glycogen stores. And for a specific reason, and I'll talk about that in just a second. And then a time frame where we increase your carbs to give to boost that insulin and to give your body a chance to get what it needs to fuel yourselves for your workouts, especially if you're doing intense workouts and you're doing just a mix of other workouts as in general. So kind of going into that, exercise and nutrition, those two things fall hand in hand. You know, a lot of people say diet is 80%, nutrition is 80%, and exercise is 20%. I firmly believe that it is 50-50. If you are not moving every single day, you're going to gain weight. You're going to lose your muscle mass, and you're going to have loose, saggy skin. If you are not eating properly, you will gain weight. You will possibly start aging faster, actually. You will have loose, saggy skin, and a lot of other things. You will be sick all the time. You know, there's tons of things that can come and happen when you are not eating properly. So when we think of exercise, we think of maybe a Zumba class or a weightlifting class. Exercise is just a form of movement. Exercise is just a scheduled group of moves that we're going to put together. When I say exercise every day or move every day, this means getting up and walking to your car, walking up the stairs, you know, maybe in the morning doing a stretch, doing some squats or some sort of movement every single day. And this is something we should be implementing every single day, 7 days a week. You should be moving every single day. There should not be a single day that you are sedentary, because if you are, no matter what nutritional plan you're following, it's only going to get you so far. You're always going to need to implement exercise. And a majority of the time, you know, the thing that we hear so much is eat less, move more. So, and I can tell you personally, I followed the eat less, move more. 4 years ago, I was overweight. I decided to start on a workout journey, a fitness journey. I did great. I lost a lot of weight. And somewhere along the lines, I started feeling guilty for eating bad or for having a cheat day or a treat here and there. And what I would do is I would punish myself by adding more exercise. And I would do hours upon hours of exercise throughout the week. Some people do it throughout the day. I mean, I've met people that exercise 2-3 hours a day. And these aren't bodybuilders. These aren't competitors. These are just your everyday people trying to lose fat. And we are over-exercising and we are under-eating. And I can tell you right now, a lot of us are actually under-eating because we've been given this stereotype that eating a 1,200 calorie diet is going to benefit our weight loss and it's going to help us. And yes, just like the fad diets, it is helpful in the beginning. When you eat at a deficit, you definitely are going to lose weight. However, your body does what it does best and it protects itself. And if you're not giving it the proper nutrients and the proper fuel that it needs, it's going to hold on to everything that you give it. And this is why we gain weight. This is why we hold on to fat and we store it in our bodies. And this is what we don't want to do. We want to make sure that we are getting rid of this fat, but still being able to enjoy the foods that we like, still eating whole, healthy foods that come from the earth, not processed foods, and still exercising. But having an efficient and effective exercise plan that goes along with your eating cycle. So this is where carb cycling falls into plan. So when you're over exercising, you can cause your body to go into fatigue, to go into adrenal fatigue, to go into numerous amounts of medical issues. You throw off your metabolism, your hormones get out of whack. And I think I'm speaking from personal experience as an exercise instructor. I was teaching group exercise classes along with doing my own exercises, and my body was exhausted. And what it was doing was it was holding on to everything that I was giving it, which wasn't enough. I found that out when I was food journaling. I thought I was actually eating enough, and I realized that I wasn't. I was under-eating my carbs, and I was under-eating my calories, still very clean and healthy foods. I just wasn't eating enough to fuel my body to push me through all the intense movements that I was doing on a daily basis. So eat less, move more. Yes, it is the way that you do lose weight. It's all about calorie balance. However, we have taken it to the extreme of where we literally are eating very little and we are moving a whole lot. So the whole point of this is to get away from that, to have efficient, effective exercises, probably no more than 30 minutes a day. And I do 5 days a week of exercise. So I've made it a point to have 2 full rest days, which has been amazing. It's been phenomenal. So eating carbs. When you're eating carbs, it's gonna stimulate an insulin response in your body. And then what happens is when you're eating them in a surplus, it's gonna keep our insulin levels high, and it's gonna lead to, or if you're eating carbs at a surplus, so all the time, tons of carbs, your insulin levels are super high. And this is also causing you to gain weight. And then it causes chronic inflammation. It can cause aging if you're eating too many carbs. If you're eating too little carbs, it can have the same effect. So you want to make sure that you're eating a good balance of them. So this is why we have low carb days and high carb days. And then carbs do keep your metabolism in check. It keeps it going. So if you ever notice when you deplete your body of too many carbs for such a long amount of time, you have a harder time getting going. You have less energy. You're not as focused. Even your brain starts to feel the effects of not having the carbs, because your brain needs that glucose. It needs that sugar in order to stimulate certain responses and to do a lot of things that we need to do on a daily basis. So carbs are good for you guys. I promise you, there are some bad carbs that we should avoid, but it all comes in fair trade. Carbs are good. Don't think of them as bad. You just have to understand which carbs are good for you. Eating carbs also controls your leptin and your ghrelin levels. So ghrelin sounds kind of like a gremlin. Ghrelin is what is your hunger. So when your stomach is growling, that's your ghrelin basically telling you, hey, I'm hungry, feed me, give me something to eat. Sometimes when we are overeating carbs, our ghrelin will continue to overeating or it'll just continue to stimulate, and we think we're hungry and we really aren't. It's just that we're so used to eating all the time. So being able to cycle your carbs actually controls it and puts it in a normal response. So it's really nice to know that when your stomach is growling, after you've been doing this for a while, your stomach, you really are hungry. You're not just growling just because you're bored. And let's see. So so when I do a carb cycling plan, I do a mix of low carb, high carb, maybe some regular calorie days, low calorie days. But the 2 main days that I want to focus on is the low carb days and the high carb days. So when you do a low carb day, you actually are depleting your carbs. So we're not having a no carb day. Everything that I do is based on your calorie balance or your calorie count, and then we do a macronutrient split. So you will have a certain percentage of carbs that you need to be eating a day, either on a regular day, on a high carb day, or even on a low carb day. And it's focusing on depleting your carbs into that certain percentage to allow your body to deplete the glycogen. And what this allows is it allows your body, because as I said earlier, carbs are your main source of fuel, and that's what burns. That's what's burning up when you're exercising, when you're moving, when you're doing your activities. even just to sit here right now, we are burning calories. You are burning calories sitting here just to maintain your body every single day. This is your daily expenditure, energy expenditure. You may be seeing it as TDEE. Knowing your total daily energy expenditure is really important to know. So you know how many calories your body, or an estimate of how many calories your body is burning on a daily basis by just sitting there and maybe implementing some exercise here and there. And when you are depleting your carbs, you are taking that energy, you're depleting the glycogen stores to allow you to remove the carbs from there and then to burn fat. So what happens when we eat fat, we store it. It needs to be used. But since we keep putting more and more carbs into our body, your body is automatically going to go towards the carbs to use it to burn as a fuel source. This way, if you actually deplete your glycogen stores for a few days when you're doing your exercises, and just in general, throughout the whole day, your body is focusing on utilizing your fat to burn, which is what we want. We want to burn the fat. We want to get rid of it. And allowing yourself to go into a few days of low carbs will allow this to happen. However, like I said earlier about carbs, creating that insulin response, but not having enough carbs is not good for you on a long-term basis. This is why we implement a high carb day. The high carb day, we are pretty much doubling your carbs. So if you're eating carbs for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and snacks, or however many meals you end up having a day. I literally was having pancakes, like a huge bowl of oatmeal, steel cut oats for breakfast. I was having pancakes for dinner or lunch, and then another huge serving of carbs. And this is in turn to give your body what it needs. So now it's lacking that energy. And when you go for a few days of low carbs, you notice that your energy levels are lower. You have a hard time, not a hard time concentrating, but just your body is a little different. So we need to bring that energy back up, and we need to do that with increasing your carbs. So this is why we have a high carb day, which it sounds fun and fabulous, but it is hard to get that many carbs in, especially if you have a high calorie bracket that you're in. You're pretty much taking that calories up like immensely, and you want to increase that so that way you can get the right amount of carbs in and have enough to take you through the rest of your days of low carbs. And when we go into the high carb days, we're spiking our insulin. So we've depleted the insulin, or not depleted it, but we've lowered it down on the low carb days. So now we're going to spike that insulin up to help preserve our muscle tissues, because we use carbs for fueling our body, and to focus on getting the nutrients to go to the muscles. So that way they aren't just being wasted. This is why we focus on getting a lean, strong body. It also increases our thyroid output and controls our hunger. Because if you're doing a low carb diet, if anybody's ever done a low carb diet for a long period of time, you're hungry all the time, like you're starving. But you push yourself through it because you're told that if you eat low carb for the rest of your life, you're going to be skinny. And who wants to be hungry? Like, seriously, I hate being hungry. And I'm pretty sure my husband hates when I get hungry, because I don't just get hungry, I get hangry. We try to avoid that here. And the high carb day is kind of like a nice reward for you for going through a few days of low carbs, or depending on what the specific cycle would be. And then it also replenishes your glycogen stores, so that way it can be used to fuel your workouts. Let me see, what else? So I talked about exercise, I talked about the carbs, I talked about low carb days and high carb days. And basically, it's all about having a strategic plan with eating your carbs and your exercise. So let me talk a little bit more about exercise. The thing is, when we are exercising, we're not doing the right exercise with what we're eating. And allowing yourself, if you're doing an intense strength training program, you're going to need to eat a lot of carbs. You're going to need that carb source to fuel your workouts, to push you through lifting those heavy weights and doing that intense workout. If you're doing a lot of cardio, you don't need a lot of carbs. I know you see runners carb loading and doing all this stuff. There's a difference. It's also kind of a thing that's grown is eating a lot of carbs to fuel your body. But if you're fueling your body properly with the proper nutrients every single day, you actually don't really need to carb load the night before a huge race. You should be carb loading throughout your entire training to where you have enough energy to use throughout whatever long race it is that you're doing. But in this term, I'm talking about cardio like on the elliptical or running outside or just anything that's cardio intense. You know, if you're going to do a cardio intense workout, you don't need to actually have as many carbs because of the fact that you're not using your muscles as much to utilize them up. So all that's going to happen is once it uses what it needs, it's going to get stored into fat. And that is not what we want. We don't want our body to store anything. We want our body to efficiently and effectively use everything that we're putting inside our body and making sure that we are seeing the results outside of our body. And not just outside. Like one of the biggest things that I tell my clients is it's not about weight loss. It's about fat loss. And those are two totally different things. My last program, I actually had just between 4 girls, because I haven't gotten all the results in. 21 pounds were actually lost, which I was so amazed and so proud of them in 3 weeks. But the biggest things that they really complimented was they didn't feel deprived. Like all of them said they loved all the meals that they got to eat. Their family loved, they were implementing like some really cool recipes and meals with their families. And their families didn't even know that they were eating healthier if they struggle getting their family on board with eating healthy. They didn't feel deprived. They had more energy. Within the first week, most of them felt how they fit into their clothes better. Their bodies weren't bloated. I mean, these are just basic non-scale victories, I guess you can say, that you experience when you start pairing a good eating plan with a good workout plan. And I'm not saying that the other plans are wrong. It's that sometimes there's so much information out there and all of our bodies are so different. They respond differently. You kind of have to play around and see what works for you. Carb cycling may not be something that's for everyone long term. It's not something I recommend actually doing for a super long time. I do recommend trying it for quite a few months, but maybe not for years on end. You may need to change it up. But all of us have very different bodies, very different structures, and very different ways that our bodies respond to different strategic nutritious cycles. So we need to find what's going to work best for us and what's going to give us the results that we're looking for. I can tell you personally, I have tried a lot of different ways. Before I started my healthy journey, I actually was a fad dieter, a pill popper, not like a bad pill popper, but every diet pill, Hydroxycut was like my thing, and iSlim or whatever. I had tons of those pills. I wasted so much money. Like seriously, I don't know why I did that. But I used to take all of these things thinking that if I took this pill, I was going to wake up skinny and I was going to wake up with the body that I wanted. And all that ended up happening was I would have jitters throughout the day. My body, like I didn't see any changes in my body. I actually would not eat all day long because it would suppress my appetite. And then I would be so weak throughout the day because I wasn't eating anything. Yes, I would lose weight. But then when I stopped taking the pills, I gained it all back. And there was a lot of dramatic moments in my life because I was so upset with how I allowed myself to just keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger and having to buy bigger and bigger pants that I couldn't afford at the same time. And it just led me down a really, really bad path with health and nutrition. And I found a way that worked for me doing home workouts. And I finally found a good base, but I realized that I needed more. I needed something more to help me break through the plateau because I got to a point where I can't do low calorie diets. Like my body just won't, especially as much as I'm moving around. I know a lot of the moms that I talk to are constantly moving around with their little ones. So you need to find a plan that works for you. And carb cycling, what I love about it is it works for everyone. It's a great strategy. It's not harmful. You're not depriving, depleting, or you're not eliminating any food group, any major nutrient, macronutrient, or micronutrient. You are still eating the right amount of food. You're just strategically planning it to benefit your body and your fat loss. So does anybody have any questions about carb cycling or any of like the specifics or anything? There's a little chat box, or you can take yourself off of mute if you do. I'm going to take everybody off of mute if I can figure this out. I just did it individually. So if you do have questions, let me know. or you can write it down here in the chat box. I do want to let you know, I just finished up my last week. We are actually on Sunday. We just finished up my last 3-week carb cycling program. The ladies did phenomenal. Like I told you, between just 4 of them, there was 21 pounds lost. And I still have a few more ladies that need to give me their information. So that just goes to show that in just 3 weeks, they were able to see some amazing results. And the biggest thing was, I mean, if I could show you half of the meals that were posted, people would think like, there's no way you can eat this way and still lose weight. So that was amazing. And that was it was a lot of fun. But one of the biggest things is you can get all of this information anywhere. You can get, you're welcome. You're welcome. Can you explain what a 24-hour fast? Yeah, I'll explain that in just a second. So you can get information about nutrition plans anywhere. One of the biggest things that is super important when it comes to being successful is accountability. Being accountable to someone and being accountable and knowing that someone is helping you reach these goals. And this is why I create these programs where I do a majority of people together. And it's typically just women. If I do have men on here, I don't single you out, but I have I mostly work with women just because I know the struggles and the frustrations that they go through as I am a woman, but I also know a woman and a man's body, they're just very different. And accountability groups are key. They're so important when it comes to focusing on reaching your goals and having someone there to help you through it and having a group of people, like-minded people that are going through the exact same thing and trying to reach the same goals. So I do have my next group starting on Monday, the 16th. I think that's the 16th. Yeah, the 16th. And it'll be 3 weeks from there. So the 16th up until June 5th. And what I'm doing is I'm actually running a promotion up until Wednesday. It's my early bird price. And then after Wednesday, it's going to go up. I was going to actually see if we could set up consult calls. I have a few set up for the next few days. But if I don't get to talk to you until after Wednesday, then you won't get to get the price. So I just going to let you know what that information is. So $75 for up until Wednesday, and then after that, it actually is going to go up to $90 to regular price. So that will be the early bird special. If you would like to take advantage of that, I'm actually going to put the link of where you can. I know some people are on the phone, so you may not be able to get this link. Sorry. If email me if you cannot access the link from your phone. I'm not too sure. I don't think you can because you can't see the screen. So for those of you on your phone, just let me know, email me, and I'll send you the link so that way you can actually sign up for the next program. So thanks, Megan, for that information. So that 24-hour fast, what I do is you have to set your body up the day before, eating the right amount of calories and nutrients. But what I do is after my last meal, I actually stop eating. So my last meal may end at 8 o'clock, and then I count 24 hours from there, and I don't eat throughout the whole day. So your fast actually starts at night and goes up until the next day, and then up until that time is when I actually have Shakeology for dinner. Or once in a blue moon, I may have like a light dinner, like a salad or something very light, nothing too heavy. So if I finished eating dinner at 8 o'clock tonight, 8 o'clock tomorrow, 8 p.m. is when I would break my fast, and that would be a full 24 hours. Nothing but waters, teas. You can do coffee, black coffee, but if you're like me, I can only drink so much caffeine. If not, I get all jittery. So you can do decaf if you'd like, but teas and water pretty much, and gum. You can chew gum. Fasting that is something that I actually implement in my level 2 program that I'm creating that will start in June. So if anybody has done level 1, they can go into level 2. And we implement a strategic plan of intermittent fasting, which has been phenomenal for just resetting your metabolism, resetting your hormones. I've noticed huge improvements in just overall, because I was really, really struggling. I was going through adrenal fatigue with teaching all the classes and doing my own exercises, and I would feel guilty if I ate a treat, so then I would exercise even more. So I've noticed huge changes in all of my hormones, even like just in like as my lady hormones, like even my husband noticed, like I'm a little friskier, I guess you can say. I don't know if that's a good thing if you want to make sure you don't have any more kids, at least right now. But, you know, these things are super important to you. So over exercising can really deplete you of all these essential things that you need. So fasting has been very, very, very helpful in just maintaining balance in my body. And I really, really enjoyed what fasting has done for me. But now I'm changing it up to where I'm not doing a 24-hour fast. I'm actually doing, every day I'm doing a specific eating window of fasting, which I'm really enjoying the effects of that so far.
Yeah, I've been fasting since we went to our thing last year. I've been doing the intermittent. So carb cycling is totally new to me. And I keep seeing your posts and I was like, I've got to learn more. So thank you.
It's really, I really like it because it allows you to have your splurge basically when you have your high carb days. And then it allows you to kind of just back off of them, which I actually do enjoy low carb days more than high carb days, which is so funny because I love carbs. But because you eat carbs, because it does that spike in your sugar, you just get really exhausted. So every time I finish a meal, and I have to eat them breakfast, lunch, and dinner. If not, I'm eating so many in one meal that I'm just kind of lagging throughout the whole day. So I'm like, yes, I can't wait for low carb day to kind of feel normal again and have energy. I have more energy on low carb days, unless I do like an intense class. If I teach an intense boot camp, I usually am really low in my energy levels. But other than that, I actually prefer low carb days, which is kind of weird.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thanks for joining. Do you have any other questions?
Not right now, but I'll be in touch. I might join you guys.
Awesome. Well, I put the link if you want it there, but if you have questions, you can email me. Sorry, what was that?
Oh, I said, I know anything you do well. So.
And honestly, thank you. I'm really, really enjoying, and I keep researching more and more stuff. Like I really have found, I've done it before. I've done carb cycling before, and I hated it with my old coach. It was just me and my nutrition coach. That was the hard part. And because I didn't have the group accountability, that was hard. And my old coach was also a bodybuilder, or is a bodybuilder. So I think he thought I wanted to maybe eat like that. So he gave me a meal plan to follow, and it was awful. I hated it, so I quit.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, you're very welcome. Well, thanks for joining, everyone. If you have any questions, you can always email me or go to my website that I posted below, or however you got the link, and then let me know what questions you have. But until Wednesday, it'll be the early bird price, and then after that, it'll go up. Thanks for joining, everyone. Y'all have a good evening.